What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the latest episode of the War Room podcast presented by the Sideline Journal. I'm your host, Mason Rather, and joining me is my co host, Liam Carr.
Hey, let's get it, guys. 8 teams left. We got the 8 best teams. We don't need a committee to decide who's the best teams, the 8 best. We decide by wins, all right? How far can you make it? So, 8 teams left, Mason. We got like 7 games left of football this season. It's been phenomenal. I hope this divisional round weekend is incredible.
I mean, we couldn't have wanted anything more from Wild Card Weekend. I mean, every single game delivered. Even at one point in the one blowout with the Steelers and Texans, it was 7-6 going into the third quarter. Even with the Chargers and Patriots, it was 3-3 at halftime. I mean, we saw some incredible teams play, some incredible games, some horrible clock management in some, but it's all set the stage now for the semifinals of the playoffs, the divisional round.
Yeah, and Mason, we got plenty to talk about it, so I'm ready when you are.
Absolutely. So we'll go ahead and open up this quick little episode of the War Room because this is going to serve as your perfect pregame show as you go into divisional weekend. And we're going to start talking about kind of really the first game on Saturday, the Broncos and the Bills. And so, I mean, I think we all saw the heroics Josh Allen went and put up. I mean, what a playoff performer in his career. He's only ever lost to Patrick Mahomes, and he defeated the Jags on the road and was practically Superman, Liam.
Yeah, Superman. I was going to bring that up. The Jaguars, that was a great team, and Liam Cohen was in his bag. And to go from where they were last year to this year is phenomenal. So give the Jags props. But yeah, it was Josh Allen, Superman on the quarterback sneak because that's what it was used to be called. But to get it within the goal line, so Josh Allen, Superman. Yeah, he was there, and he's gonna have to do it again, Mason, against a tough Broncos defense.
Yeah, but he's built for it. And I saw this as a hilarious take, but it's actually kind of true and rooted in football scheme. They've got Patrick Surtain over for the Broncos as the number one corner, and they said that he erases wide receiver ones. Well, funny enough, the Bills don't have a receiver one, and it's true because the way that the Bills have structured their offense, they don't need just a killer at wide receiver. And I think they only have three healthy active wide receivers going into this game. They're going to put the ball in Josh Allen's hands, and he's going to make plays, and he's going to kill you on defense. I mean, this is a rematch from last year's wild card round, and the Bills won it comfortably 31-7 with very similar personnel. And I know the Broncos are a better team, and I know the Broncos are at home, but it's like I said in our prediction video for the entire playoff. I'm not betting against Josh Allen.
Yeah, that's fair to say. And the Broncos, though, Mason, that defense, I think that defense is very legit. It's up there with the Texans, and we'll talk about that later. But I think the Broncos defense is something to fear. They got a bunch of young guys that are hungry for it, and they're not just hungry for it, but they're incredible athletes. And so they're going to be giving this Bills offense some real trouble. So if he wants that Superman title, which you've already crowned him, if he does it this week, he'll definitely have it because he's going to need to do everything. And Patrick Surtain, yeah, but what about Nick Benito? I mean, that guy's get off from the snap is incredible. And with the Bills so banged up, I mean, Shavers played the entire game with like half a game with a torn ACL. So I think that they just elevated Curtis Samuel, which he's been in the building before, so he should be fine. But yeah, it's really going to have to be a Big 12 personnel game with their big boys, Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. So we're really going to need to see it from the Bills offense. But Mason, we've been saying all year, Broncos are fraudulent.
Mm-hmm.
They're the number one seed. That doesn't make any sense, right? Why are the Broncos fraudulent?
They can't be a bad team if they're 14-3, right? They have to be a good football team. They're fundamentally sound. They have a head coach that's excellent at late game clock management and late game play calling and situational football. They relied on one of the best defenses in football, but I think you're going to see their limitations exposed in this game, and that's why I think they're fraudulent. It goes down to the player they have at center and the perimeter weapons they have on offense. So, I mean, for the Bills, this game's going to come down to how their defense performs. That defense against the Jags, Sean McDermott was kind of in his bag. Like, his pass defense kind of had Trevor Lawrence in hell at times. Like, he turned the ball over twice and threw the game-losing interception. I think you're going to see something similar with a young, unbattle-tested quarterback in Bo Nix. I think we're going to see his youth really show up, and receivers at times aren't going to separate at the level that they need to, and it's going to be a real grimy game on offense for the Broncos.
All right. Yeah, I don't think they have the weapons that you need to be a caliber offensive team. I think they've been really banking on their defense, and they've squeaked by a lot of bad teams. Let's remember that game in London against the Jets that we had to wake up early for and watch. That was abysmal. 13 to 11, I believe, was the final score. Justin Fields was sacked 9 times. Yeah, the Broncos are leading in sacks. It might be just a little inflated, but um, I think that's going to be super legit. But then the offense, yeah, not enough weapons. They don't put up the amount of points you need. And in the playoffs, you need to put up at least 21. You need 3 scores, 3 touchdowns. So, um,
I think
you know,
no, yeah. So I think that we just kind of have it where this game is going to come down to. It's really going to come down to not the side of the ball that we're all going to enjoy watching is Josh Allen versus the Broncos defense. It's going to come down to how Bo Nix and the Broncos offense performs against a defense that during the regular season was bottom 10 as a unit, but has shown that they've come alive in the playoffs. So it's going to be
yeah,
curious. I think it's going to be an incredible finish. I'm willing to go out on a limb and say right now, Josh Allen, Bills, AFC Championship, book it.
I agree. I'm going to have a phenomenal hate watch on the Broncos. Kind of ended our season, so I will be hate watching uh, the Broncos and rooting for the Bills. Let's go, Josh.
And now, maybe this is going to be a game that we are going to disagree on. Transitioning to the other game in the AFC, talking about the Texans and Patriots, two teams that did play in the wild card round, and two teams that their defenses pretty much handled the opponent across from them. What do you see going into this game as the key for it?
Um, Man, the Texans defense, holy cow. I mean, I'm not one for nostalgia. I want to pay attention to greatness when it's happening, not in the past, all right? This Texans defense is potentially one of the best defenses of all time. Seriously. Look at the stats, look at what they give up, look at just the guys all around. There was a tweet that went viral. It said the Texas defense is 11 Velociraptors with machine guns flying around. So it looks like that. And so looking at the Patriots, Mason, that game, when I look at the games they just played, um, Patriots versus Chargers and the Texans versus Steelers, um, the Patriots just didn't look great. And that was a bad Chargers team. They couldn't get up. The Chargers offense was awful, and the Patriots defense was doing all right, but they couldn't put up any points against the Chargers. So what I'm feeling is that the Texans are going to come out here, Mason. Do you have anything to go against that?
I don't, man. I thought you were going to go the other way because really the take that I was going to have here is you talk about how the Texans defense are 11 velociraptors with machetes on their heads or whatever. I look at it this way. You've got the best defense on the NFC with the Seahawks, which we'll get to, which is Mike McDonald in his bag, scheming up complex coverages, scheming up pressures, rotating 7-9 pass rushers. D'Amico Ryans says, let's fucking go. I'm going to line it up, and my dudes up front are going to whip your ass. And that's exactly what happens consistently throughout the course of a game. You got Sheldon Rankins, Daniil Hunter, and Will Anderson. They're unblockable. And I didn't even mention in the last time I talked about this defense, Kamari Lassiter, the opposing corner to Derek Stingley, has quietly come alive playing like a top 15 corner in the league. I mean, truthfully, this defense is one of the best defenses we've seen at least this decade, 2020 on. It's hard to compare defenses now to the game pre-2020 because the game has shifted a lot with yardage and the kickoff moving up. But I
Yeah.
mean, truthfully, this is where this game's going to come down to is how does a young Patriots team who hasn't looked youthful, but they are young, Drake May is especially young, and probably what is the first pressure tested environment with real stakes he's going to have to play in. How do they perform?
I think that youth for the Patriots, I think they're pretty young. I think it obviously showed against that Chargers. So I am worried. I think that the Texans defense, they're kind of younger too, but they've been stars since day one on that defense. Everybody that they've got. So, um, that's why what I'm looking at in the game. But hey, the Texans offense looked abysmal against that Steelers. Let's remember that. CJ Stroud looks like that was his first game of all time. Are we going to see Davis Mills, right, in the playoffs? Because remember that offense was kind of cooking when he was in that 5 game stretch, and so. With Nico out, Mason, that's huge. Dalton Schultz has been very reliable for them in the passing game. But now you look at the Texans offense, and they're very young. You got Woody Marks, who has a season-ending injury every single game and then comes back in the
It's
second
true.
half. And then look at their wide receivers. I mean, is Xavier Hutchinson, I think, and then Isaiah Higgins, right? And then who was the other one? The other
Jalen
Iowa
Noel,
State.
Christian Kirk. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Well, Christian Kirk had a phenomenal game,
he
but
did.
still, really young guys. And if Christian Kirk is going to be your number one wide receiver, I'd be a little worried about that. So, um, yeah, I just think you got to go with the defense that's been telling it to our faces that they're like that early 2000s, later 2000s Baltimore Ravens defense. Honestly, they don't have that scary guy like Ray Lewis, but they're just phenomenal and they've got it going. So I think that the Texans are just going to be able to beat that Patriots offense. And then, look at what they did in the second half against the Steelers.
I
They're
can't.
going to get some turnovers and score.
I can't argue with you. In fact, I'm just going to agree with you emphatically because I think that this defense is a Super Bowl championship winning level defense, and as long as C.J. Stroud doesn't drop a football 5 times, they're going to win
Insane.
this game. So
Yep.
that means our prediction for the AFC is it's going to set up a AFC championship game between the Buffalo Bills and Houston Texans. I'll drop your comments down below whether or not you agree with it, whether or not we're right or wrong.
It's a
So
good game.
far, between us, we predicted every single game correctly from the wild card round, other than the Bears and Packers. So y'all hold us to our takes, our predictions, and flame us in the comments if we're wrong. Now the NFC, Liam. Uh, the other game that's on Saturday, this is the first one up that I really am starting to look at as kind of a toss-up game. What do you see going on between the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers?
Well, breaking news between our videos, Sam Darnold popped up with an oblique injury. I have no idea what that is, but the Niners losing George Kittle is huge. That guy's not just a great passing target, but he was phenomenal blocking. George Kittle is going to be a huge loss to the 49ers, which are already just injury decimated. So like I've been writing them out since week 15, like 12. All right, I'll be honest. I was like, they got so many injuries, they're not gonna be able to do it. Look at everybody, and they just keep doing it. Mason, you said Kyle Shanahan has it. He's gonna keep on going. So, um, Mason, I'll just cut to the chase and tell you what I think. Sam Darnold's gonna see ghosts. The Seahawks defense is really good, but Sam Darnold's gonna cause them to lose, and it's gonna be just terrible for the 12 fan base in Seattle. So I really have the injury decimated 49ers beating out the number one Seattle Seahawks.
Man, you have them shocking the world. That'd be an incredible story to see. Because I mean, it's often said that players provide you your ceiling and your coaching provides you the floor, and there's no truer story than what's going on with the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, losing George Kittle that way after you've already had the season that you've had with injuries, how you're already decimated, and still finding a way to win that game pretty handedly. I mean, that says a lot about the team that's going to be traveling down to the 12th man in Seattle. But I just go back to Seattle is still one of the healthiest, most complete teams remaining off a week of rest, where this defense is that good. Jackson Smith and Jigba is that good. This running game between Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet is that good. It provides a high enough floor. I just think that it's going to be a similar version of the game that we saw in week 18 for the 1 seed, where the 49ers are not going to be able to move the football. And the Seahawks are just going to play the ugly, grimy game that they want to play. And it's going to be slow scoring, it's going to be slow moving, but eventually it's going to start to give, and give. And Charbonnet is going to have like 20 carries for 85 yards, and then Kenneth Walker will have like 13 for 81, and they'll both have a touchdown, and we'll look up and it'll be like 17-6. And so I think this is where I'm going to disagree with you. I think the Seahawks grind their way out of this game in spite of Sam Darnold. So I agree with you. I don't think he's the driver of their success, but he doesn't need to be. They don't need him to.
That's a fair assessment. I mean, that defense for the Seattle Seahawks, I think it's on par with the Texans. And so, Eman Worry has been a steal of the draft pick. Weatherspoon and Love have been phenomenally coming on strong as ex cornerbacks. So, Juan Jennings is going to have trouble. And then who's next? Demarcus Robinson, I think, is the second guy. And but as long as they have CMC, I'm confident. I think that they can get a little more push. Like that Eagles defensive line is insane. Seattle Seahawks defensive line is insane. But I think that they can maybe impose their will just a little more when they're doing those zone blocks. They can give a little more space. So CMC, when he hits that cutback, I think he's going to have a much better game than against the Eagles. So that's what I'm sticking to. Mason, we're going to have to disagree, I guess. I'm sticking with the 49ers.
Well, then this opens up the room for the viewers to drop their take below of how they see this game going because we see it differently. I go back to I think that the defense and what they can roll through with the offensive line they have in place for the 49ers is what's going to set the game. But always drop your comments below. You let us know how you see this game unfolding, either as the 49ers or the Seahawks. But the last game in the NFC also involves an NFC West team. The Los Angeles Rams versus the, fourth quarter Kings Chicago Bears. What do you see going into this game, coming off the game that you had to endure as a Packers fan from last week?
Oh, that was terrible. That was pretty awful. I mean, how do we blow that? Uh, I'll get over it. A little depressed, but Sean McVay is not gonna have a disaster second half coaching class, like Matt LaFleur did. So, um, we'll talk. We'll get into it. I got the Rams over the Bears, Mason. We'll talk about it. I think that Matthew Stafford is gonna get MVP, and so he's gonna be playing like it. Puka Nacua has been incredible with the yak, with the big body. He's not afraid to hit a safety. The Bears defense, I think they got some good cornerbacks, but I think they're a little fraudulent. And then their offense, I think, is still fraudulent. Okay, the Bears and the Broncos, Mason. You've been saying you've been high on the Bears fraudulence alert, and so, um, you know, Jared Verse. Let's name off some guys. Jared Verse has been phenomenal since he was a rookie. He's going to be leading the charge against that Bears O line, who people have been talking very highly of. They got those three free agents,
Yeah, but
Tooney.
man, they're running into a buzzsaw. I mean, the Rams defensive line is not sung enough between Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk, Jared Verse, and Byron Young. Those dudes are freaks, and they're gonna have that O line in hell. And then you've got Nate Landman in the middle that is roaming for that run game, and then they have some really good safeties in Quentin Lake, Cameron Kinchins, and Cam Curl. The weak part of the Rams defense is their cornerback room. But the weak part about the Bears offense is actually throwing the forward pass. I mean, they'll straight up say, like, Caleb Williams is one of the only qualified starters that actually had a completion percentage under 60%. He's a playmaker. He operates great out of structure. I'm not saying that Caleb Williams is a bust or not a good quarterback. He's just still learning how to operate in structure. And I think that D-line is about to have him in a bad long night all night.
Um, I think Caleb Williams, his passer rating within the pocket, without the pocket, is much drastic. LaFleur was talking about how, or Hafley was talking about how the game plan was to keep him from rolling out right, because that's a strong suit of his when he is comfortable out there and he can just sling it, which he is pretty good at that. He has a good arm talent, but it's just, I think they should actually try to keep him in the pocket if I was a defensive coordinator for the Rams. Because, I mean, when he was even rolling out left, he had some incredible passes. I think the Packers secondary was actually the reason why those passes looked so cool on like a 4th and 8 to DJ Moore rolling out left. Keyshawn Nixon played that terribly. I think the Rams' overall defense is a lot more disciplined and better than maybe the Packers, especially the cornerbacks. So, I don't think that'll be working out, those incredible plays. It'll be incomplete passes, batted down, or interceptions if he tries that again. And so, yeah, the Rams are going to be more sound on defense, more disciplined. So they're not going to have those big mistakes like the Packers did. So I think, yeah, they'll get, 14, maybe 21 points even. Because I think Kyle Monangai is very good, and that if that O-line can get a little push, then yeah, Kyle, he can go far. So they'll definitely put up some points, but I just think that offense makes. Let's talk about that offense. I mean, Matthew Stafford, like we said, yeah, 40 touchdowns. He's been playing phenomenal, lights out all year long. They do have the passing weapons. I mean, let's talk about last week against the Panthers. That throw to it was Parkinson, right?
Yeah,
Like the
Colby Parkinson. They're
see, like
6'7"
second or
tight end.
third string,
Yeah.
third. Phenomenal. Matthew Stafford couldn't have put it anywhere better, and that's the third string tight end. I mean, come on. So yeah, Mason, I just can't. I don't know what else to say. That the Rams they're just gonna play more sound, no, way less turnovers if they even have one than the Bears, and so that'll be the deciding factor.
I would agree. I just think, like we've kind of said here, the keys to the game are just going to come down to be, will Caleb Williams be able to operate inside of structure? Because they have the talent to do it, and if he can, then I think it's going to be a high-scoring game going down to the final minute. But if he can't, and he's trying to force in and out of the pocket and forces some throws, turns the football over, I think this becomes a laugher real quick. Offensively, it's going to be what Matthew Stafford shows up. MVP Matthew Stafford, or the one that threw 3 picks against the Carolina Panthers? And the one that kind of looked like he was doing that until he came alive in the second half against Carolina. He's going to have
This
to get
ain't the
off to a
Panthers, though.
fast start. That is true. This ain't the Panthers. It's the Bears. So I think that's the keys to the game. I think we're both saying that the Los Angeles Rams move on. It's that sets up for the NFC West, or the NFC Championship and NFC West throwdown between either the
Yeah.
49ers, the Seahawks, and the Rams. But I think that's where all of this is heading and moving, is where this is the keys to the game. And I think we've got a real exciting weekend of football coming up again. And I mean, it's not often, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, where I feel like I'm this excited for every weekend of football in the playoffs, even with my Cowboys eliminated, just because we're going to actually get good matchups of good teams. Because I don't think that the skill gap is as far as maybe we made it out in this video. Truthfully, any one of these teams can win tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, these are the 8 best teams. There's no question of who should have gotten in over somebody else. You got to win a lot of games to get in. So, and it's tough in the NFL. And all of these teams have been really good, really sound. These are the best overall teams. There's some really good quarterbacks left out of the playoffs. There's some really good defensive ends left out of the playoffs. There's some really good head coaches left out of the playoffs. But overall, the structure as a whole, from the ownership down to the long snapper, this is the best overall top 8. So, Mason, you were right to be excited. Maybe you're a little more excited because you don't have to stress and worry about your own team in it.
Yep.
And
Because
so, yep.
they
But
will
hey,
be.
no, these last 7 games we have, enjoy them. In July, we're going to be wishing for a game like that Chargers Patriots game that was so boring, but these are going to be awesome watching, especially these 4 Saturday and Sunday with the entire nation's eyes just on these 4 games. Nothing else in the way. Mason's going to be a good one.
Especially because what we got to remember is that 60% of NFL playoff teams that make it last year don't make it again to the big dance the next year. I mean, this time last year, if you would have said the Chiefs and Ravens wouldn't be in the playoffs, people would call you crazy. And that's exactly what happened. The 14-3 Vikings not in the playoffs this year. So enjoy and watch these final 7 games, because your team, if it's one of your teams that's in it, they might not be there again next year. So we appreciate y'all joining us with this week's episode of your War Room preview for the playoff show. If you haven't followed us on Twitter yet, you should go find us there. We've been tweeting a lot more lately because we've just kind of said, whatever, we're normally right half the time, why not tweet the thoughts out? So really appreciate y'all tuning in and staying along with us, and let's try to grow that sub count to 350. We've been sitting right at 346 for a couple days now. So we appreciate it, and we will see you after the divisional round weekend.
See you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the War Room podcast presented by the Sideline Journal. If you haven't yet, click that subscribe button and hang with us throughout the rest of the playoff season. We're going to be dropping more off-season takes about coaching moves, mock draft season, evaluating players,
the conference championship game previews. We're the home for this. We'd love for you to join us with us, and we will see you in the next episode. Peace out.